We have expenses. Print and bind is going to be 50 cents. So 50 cents times 1.5 million. What other expenses do we have running this business? Yeah.
Put it on the shelves.
Yep, and so we pre-sold all the books. So we don't even need shelf space. If you put a book in a bookstore, you get 42% of the book price. Cuts into our margin quite a bit. But we pre-sold the $1.5 million. So at this point, we're getting all that money. So what else maybe we need workers for? At this point, we got $1.5 million books coming in. Who's putting them in the envelopes? And shipping them out? Workers? Okay, I'm going to tell you, workers are kind of a pain. You got to pay taxes on them. You got to do. If we did this all as partners, how many are in class? Are you going to count?
We have 32.
Okay. Plus us.
Yeah, plus us, 34.
Okay. So if we all do this, and I'm going to tell you, it's the easiest thing in the world because I've done it with those books. You open a box, you take out a book, you put it in an envelope, you put a label on it. It may take us 4 days, all of us working together, to get all of that $1.5 million out, $1.5 million books, but we don't have to give anybody else any money, right? So this is where we kind of start looking for ways to not just cut costs, but what can we do versus what do we have to hire out? Okay? What about, so $1.5 million books is going to be about 5 pallets of books. Where are they going?
In the corner.
You're very close. I mean, let's get the school to lend us their loading dock. If we promise to be out of there in 4 days, maybe we can get a parent to let us use the garage. You know, where could we put these that we didn't have to pay for? Right? They're all prepaid. At this point, we got $15 million sitting in a bank account, just waiting for us to fulfill the books. Right? What other things? We may need a P.O. box, which I'm going to tell you is $30 for 6 months. I'll put that in, because it'll really mess up the math. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of expenses in this business. If we want to do the copy and create the book, how many of you have computers? As I see 15 of them sitting in the back. Okay? So we don't even now need to rent computers, go lay it out on any special type of thing. I do these in Word. Use a little clip art from one of the clip art services, convert it to a PDF file, and I ship it off to the printer. Okay? Book business is not complicated. It's the selling of them. But we've already sold the $1.5 million. So at this point we have, what's this number? Anybody know?
Profit margin.
Is that right? 14,250? Okay, now who has a calculator to divide that by 34? Anyone? Are you doing it? 14,250,000. It's a lot of zeros.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yep. 411,772. 411,772 with some change.
How many of you guys want $411,000? Sweet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could buy another house
Yes.
on a lake.
Maybe I can do it.
Maybe we should look at that. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is that I give this presentation a lot. And some people are like, I'm just going to cut the rest of them out. And I'm just going to do it by myself. So instead of doing $1.5 million books, I may do 15,000. Okay? So then, I make $142,000 by myself for a couple month project. Now, how do you do that? Right? 15,000 seems like a big number. How many do you have at Burnsville? How many students? A couple thousand?
Yeah, 2,500.
Yeah, 2,500. Eden Prairie has how many? For Pete's sakes, nobody can keep track. Yeah, 4,000. I mean, Minnetonka, Wayzata. You can pull a list off of the internet on largest high schools in Minnesota. You might as well pull the top 10, sell your books to only them, and you'll have your 15,000. Right? So that's what's going to happen is someone will pull the idea. Now here's another idea. We'll go back to the Chicken Soup for the Soul. Okay. This book, if you guys haven't read one, is all other people's stories. Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen basically took other people's stories with their permission, edited them a little bit, and sold books. 100 million books. Okay? By never writing a word. Can you do the same thing here in Burnsville? Can you get all of the different cliques and groups to write their favorite story about the 2015-2016 school year? Right? It's not really like the poetry or literary magazine. It's really something about kind of what happened during this year. Okay? So, do you sell that now? Of course, people will buy it now. Students will buy it now. I'll tell you that when you get to every 5-year reunion going forward, people will buy it again and again and again. Some people will buy it multiple times because between now and the next 5 years, you guys will move like 4 times and lose it. And people will want to see it. I mean, that was the biggest thing at my 25-year reunion. Everybody's like, oh, what do you remember? Oh, what do you remember? And we're just trying to remember the fun stories. So you can work once and sell it over and over and over. Okay? Here's another example. Ladies, the book is titled Everything Men Know About Women, which is how much?
Nothing.
True. This book is completely blank. Unless someone drew it, but no. Okay? This book was written by a woman from Anoka who was living in California, and she sold $3 million worth of a completely blank book. Who's the market?
Women.
Who said it? Yeah. Because what? They're buying it for the girlfriends that just broke up with their boyfriends. It's like a little gag gift. Those that got divorced. We think it's hysterical. And so she sold $3 million of it. Not only did she do that, but she sold it to Andrews McNeil Publishing, which does a lot of those page-a-day calendars that you rip off. You know, the crossword or the word a day or whatever, the cat a day, for another $5 million. $8 million on a completely blank book. Could any of you do this? Of course you could. Okay? But what I'm going to tell you is when she created this book, because right is a little bit strong, when she created this book, she was so poor living in California that her neighbors were buying her groceries. And so what do you think they said when she comes bounding home one day and says, I'm going to create this blank book and I'm going to sell millions of them and it's going to be what men know about women. What do you think? What do you think her friends said?
Useless.
Yeah, it's useless, they laugh, you're crazy, it's never going to work. And the most common one when you own your own business is go get a job. Okay? Obviously, she's sitting on a multi-million-dollar property at this point in California, jet skiing most of her days. But that story is no different than what Michael Dell heard when he dropped out of med school. His dad took 2 years to get over that decision based on the fact that they did $9 million in sales the first year. Okay? Not everybody's going to love your idea. You need to love it and be passionate about it. Okay? So let's open it up for questions now, since I have done really well with 5 minutes left. What questions do you have about starting your own business? Who needs an idea? Do you not have an idea? What questions do you have? Yeah.
Would it be good to try and sell 2 products at once?
If they are connected in some way, yes. So if you were selling, like you look at the app things. So you have buying the original app, and then you have in-app purchases. Those go together. If you're going to do an app for productivity and you're going to do a game, that's two different markets, and it's really two different businesses. Does that make sense? Good question. What other questions? Yeah.
What do you do when you feel like quitting?
So this is an interesting question because you do get to days where you're just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And really it may be one negative customer comment out of the hundreds that you get. And I kind of learned a weird trick from Donald Trump. He actually keeps a folder on his desk when he's having bad days that have good customer comments in them. So when he gets into those moods where he's like, I just don't want to do it anymore, he kind of opens up that and rereads people's responses to him, and kind of, it just reinvigorates you of why you're there. Great question. Yeah?
After high school, I planned on opening my own business, landscaping business. What kind of paperwork would I have to go through to make it a call with my father's company?
So are you going to work for your father's company or in
Together.
conjunction?
Yeah,
So are they going to be separate companies though?
yeah.
Yeah. So you would file kind of the same paperwork that he's done. What type of business does he have?
Is a painting business?
Painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he probably filed, I mean, at that point, if you're gonna do it after high school, you probably need to file with, are you gonna be the only employee?
No.
Nah. So you probably need to file an LLC,
Yeah,
and that's really a protection for
Yeah,
you.
that's what he has. He has LLC and workers' comp and all that.
Yep. Yeah, it gets a lot more complicated when you have employees. And so I think he should be able to guide you in that, compared to if it was just you.
Okay.
You can
Like-
go into a bank and they can help you start the
Mhm.
LLC too, at
Yeah.
least to walk you through it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
already know everything of that, but like, I just wanted to know like what type of paperwork, because, yeah.
Yep, so then you need the same thing he was. You know, what's gonna be your estimate sheet? What's your estimate form that you could give a customer? What is your invoicing? Are you gonna take payments up front, which I would totally suggest?
Yeah, or cash.
Yeah, you need the cash. It helps you. Plus, you don't want to like spend all the time following up on money. That can really be a time drain. So kind of the same basic paperwork that he's got, and then go out and market with your age and use it to your advantage. Yeah.
What inspired you to start your own business?
You know, it's kind of funny. I had my first business idea when I was 13. I thought about this great idea where there'd be kind of a cab company that would take kids to soccer games, music lessons, whatever it was. So it was the kiddie cab. My parents were like, oh, really? You don't even drive yet. It's going to be insurance and all of this and blah, blah. And so I kind of just let it go because I figured they knew more than I did. And then I found a woman who actually did it as a franchise. She was selling a 3-ring notebook with a plan of how to start these kitty cab companies for $18,000 a piece. For basically a 3-ring notebook for $18,000. And she probably had, 20-some franchises across the country. So since then I was like, well, I think I should probably try something. So I always kind of knew that I'd be in something. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is it worth the work?
Is it worth the work? Yeah. When you start, do you work for anybody else now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you start comparing what that is compared to doing it on your own, I mean, we travel quite a bit, even though I've still got 2 kids at home. I have one up at NDSU. And I can do it anywhere. It allows me to manage whatever income I want to make. I also learned a trick on cash flow where if I want a new car, I basically do some sort of marketing that drives, I know how much it'll produce in the end. So however much money I want, I can manipulate it, which you can't do in a job. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Can you just not work if you don't want to? What do you do when you're
So,
after your business is going when you have to do stuff?
so really what I do is in my online classes, I go and respond to students' comments. So about an hour